Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today is probably my most favorite video to do all year, and that is my TBR for the spring equinox for the magical readathon. Now, I have participated in countless years of the magical readathon, and it has always stayed my favorite readathon that exists. Like, I love this so much. So if you don't know what Magical Readathon is, I will link the announcement video by G from the channel Book Roast down below, so you can go and check it out. But basically, we make up a character and we go to magical school and we complete classes to get a university degree, basically. Now, a quick little reminder for my character. My character is called Lucia Knox, and she is in the school now in her second year. The reason she went to Orilium in the first place is because her sister went missing when she was studying at Orilium Academy. So now my character is trying to figure out what happened to her sister. The sad news is that her sister has actually passed away in the quest, but yeah, my character will have to find that out eventually. So far, she has finished 1 year in the necromancer calling, and we are going to continue with that because I think that is going to help us figure out what happened to her sister. Now, this year, G also added some post-grad studies, so I am even more mad that my character passed away, but it's fine. I have a good selection of prompts here, and I'm going to tell you which books I hope to read in April. So the first class we need for Necromancer is Shapeshifting, and for this one we are to flip a coin, and this will determine the length of the book. So it's either over or under 400 pages. I have two options that are very extreme in those categories. My first option is a reread of Cheese Sweet Home that I'm currently doing. I'm not quite sure which volume I will be on, but that would be a super quick read, which would be awesome. And that would obviously be under 400 pages. And for over 400 pages, I finally want to start reading the Rainwild Chronicles by Robin Hobb. So it would be a book from that series, either the first or the second book, depending on what else I managed to read in March. And that would be pretty insane because the audiobook for that is like 20 hours. So, let's flip that coin. I don't know if I can actually do this in a good way. I haven't practiced this. I'm supposed to flip not catch it. Okay. This is what it landed on. Not my hand. I can't do a coin flip. But yeah, unfortunately, it is over 400 pages. So we are going to read the Rainbow Chronicles by Robin Hobb. This is the fourth series in the realm of the Elderlings, and I'm very excited for it. It's just not like the perfect pick for a readathon. Then the next class I need is Animal Studies, and with that we need a book with wolves. Now, I don't really know a book that I want to read right now that has like actual wolves in it, but she said that werewolves are also kind of okay. So I do have two options for that. One is more realistic than the others. Both are a little bit ambitious. Like, this whole TBR is very ambitious. So I think what I will probably read is Mate by Ellie Hazelwood. I have access to that through Libby, so if I get that in time, that would be a good option. I did really enjoy Bride. I have not read any other Ellie Hazelwood as I'm not a romance reader, but these are more like supernatural romances. So yeah, I have had fun with the first one and I would like to check out the second one for a readathon. Like, I wouldn't read this any other time, but like, yeah. The other option that probably won't fit in because I would like to probably listen to the audiobook, but in case I don't get Mate from the library, I would probably purchase this one, maybe as an ebook, and that would be Red Winter. Now, this is a new release. It seems to be very queer, and it is set in a historical France where some queer people hunt a werewolf, I think. So that is option number 2, but that's also pretty big and long. So yeah, I don't know if that would work out. Then the next class we need is Inscription, and for that we need a book with the day of the week in the title. And when I heard that prompt, I got really scared. I was like, this is like not something that I would have. Like, what do you mean a day of the week in the title? I completely blanked. But then I looked at my trusty little Goodreads TBR list where I have all the books that I currently own. And lo and behold, I have a book for this prompt. And that would be Monday Morning by Katie Reichs. This is the next book I need to read in the Temperance Brennan series. And I love reading these for Magical Readathon because they are very quick reads that I enjoy a lot. So yeah, I am actually quite happy that this one fits. It has Monday in the title. Now, I'm not quite sure. This one says 3 skeletons are discovered in a Montreal basement. So in this series, we follow Temperance Brennan, who is a forensic anthropologist, and she helps the police solve murder cases, usually quite gruesome ones. So I am having a lot of fun with this series. I'm not a big thriller reader, but because these have the academic aspect to it, they are very fun for me. And this is also the book series that the TV show Bones is based on, even though it's completely different. Like, apart from the main character's name and job, is like very, very different. Then the next one we got is Spells and Incantations, and for that I need a book that is currently on a best-selling list. Again, that made me quite nervous because if I go to my local bookstore, the top best-selling books are usually not a genre that I enjoy. They're mostly romantasy, romance, or thriller books. So I was really worried about this, but then I went to the New York Times list and they do have one, I think it was for YA hardcover. I will put the little picture up here. But one of the books that was on the list currently when I checked was A Stage Set for Villains by Shannon Chi Spahn. Now, this is a book that I have been very intrigued by. It does have the stage setting, but it is a fantasy book, and so I think this will be very intriguing. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this reminded me a little bit of the synopsis of Spear Cuts Through Water, which was my favorite book last year, and I know that this is not that. Like, I know no book ever will be that, but that is still what kind of drew me in, so I want to give it a try, so I hope to listen to the audiobook for that one. Now, this is also about 15 hours, so it's already getting a little bit much for a monthly TBR, but we are nothing if not ambitious. Next up, we have Conjuration, and for Conjuration, I was supposed to scroll social media and not pick the first book you see, but the first book that piques your interest. And so let's go back to past Kitty when she scrolled her Goodreads
Okay,
feed.
so let's do a little scroll through my Goodreads and see what is the first book that intrigues me. Okay, those are books I just read. I like the cover of this, but it looks like middle grade, so I don't think so. I will read this book this year, but not for the readathon. This is a German book that I have seen around that is kind of intriguing, but I have no idea what it's about or anything like that. And I'm always super, super scared of German authors or like books written in German. That might be an option. That might actually be an option here. Okay, Esme, coming back to Save Me. I think this is a classic, a Turkish classic. I have been eyeing this one a little bit, to be sure, and it is quite short, so that might work in my favor. So I think I'm gonna say this one, but just in case, let's look a tiny little bit further. So Madonna in a Fur Coat might be the one. Of course, Goodreads does not cooperate. So glad they have a DNF shelf, but all the other stuff is still so broken. Okay, let's see what else. This one definitely I'm also intrigued about, but I already have a Palestine book that I want to read next. That is a beautiful cover. No, I'm not really seeing anything else. Not really. Dreadnought is a book that I have been interested in, but like for so many years that by now it feels a little bit dusty. I do also want to read Her Majesty's Royal Coven this year, but again, I don't think I want to start it for the readathon. And there we have Madonna again. I think it's a sign. I think it's a sign that I should do Madonna in a fur coat. So thank you, Esme, for coming to my rescue yet again.
Now for this one, I chose Madonna in a Fur Coat by Sabahatine Ali. Now I know pretty much nothing about this book apart from this is kind of a yearning kind of romance classic. It's also by a Turkish author originally, and it is set in both Turkey and Berlin. So it seems very relevant for me to know about it and read it. I think I said in that video that Esme has come to my rescue again, and we will talk about that in a second. And that is for the next prompt, that is restoration. And for that, I was supposed to ask a friend for 5 of their 5-star books, and then I was to choose one of them. And I decided to ask Esme because she is one of the people I follow online that gets me most interested in a lot of books. She also always leaves the nicest comments on my videos, which I very much appreciate. And so I thought, you know, we have so much overlap in our reading interests that probably her 5-star recommendations would be my 5-star reads as well. So I didn't really tell her why I asked her for 5 of her 5-star books. I explained it after she gave me the list, so it would be, you know, unbiased in a way. Also, I have her Goodreads where I follow her, as well as her Bookstagram account that I don't follow because I do not have Instagram. But you should definitely check her out, especially if you have a similar book taste to mine, because we share such similar taste, and you will find so many amazing fantasy book recommendations, but also other book recommendations from Esme. I promise that's where I get most of like my best recommendations. And because her recommendations are always so amazing, I want to go through all 5 books that she sent me, and then I will tell you which one I pick. So I would assume that these are in no particular order. The first one is Obsidian Awakening by Sienna Frost. I think this is an indie or self-published book. Unfortunately, I do not have access to the audiobook for that. So because I think I'm gonna audiobook this one was not feasible for me. Then we have The Poet Empress by Shen Tao. This is one of the books that Esme got me so excited to read, and it is on my wish list. Then we have Sea of Souls by N.C. Scrimger. I think again, this might be indie or self-published, and it looks really, really good. So again, I don't have access to the audiobook, but I would really like to check it out at some point, maybe as an ebook or something. Then we have The Fall Is All There Is by C.M. Kaplan. Again, I think this is so for indie published, and I do not have access to the audiobook for that, but it looks really good. And last but not least, one that is a little bit older, had a little bit of a hype, but not quite as much as you would guess, is Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. Now, this one I am definitely intrigued by as well, and it is on my wish list. So honestly, I hope to read all 5 of these recommendations at some point, but for this readathon, I picked The Poet Empress because I have been itching to read some new releases, and I will take any excuse to do so. Now, I'm not quite sure what The Poet Empress is about, but I think it was compared to She Who Became the Sun, which is one of my favorite books of all time, and the sequel even better. So I was just immediately hooked. This is an Asian-inspired fantasy book where I think there is a lot of like court intrigue and just fight for power, which you will always get me with a plot like that. I'm so intrigued to read this one. Again, the audiobook is about 15 hours long, so that would bring me up to about 50 hours of audiobook for April if I do all of the plans I mentioned, which is kind of not very realistic, but As I said, we are nothing if not ambitious. We have 2 classes left. The next one would be lore, and that would be a dystopian or utopian book. Again, at first, I was a little bit put off by this because it's not usually like dystopian classics don't usually work for me. And a lot of like utopia and dystopia I connect to, you know, those like 2010s kind of books. And I didn't really want to read any of these. But then I had one book I really wanted to get onto this TBR, so I would read it within my year time frame that I give myself for books that I buy. And that book is The Just City by Joel Walton. Now, it just so happens that this is kind of a mix of a utopian and dystopian book. This is a fantasy novel that is built on the idea of, I think, Plato. And so this builds a lot on kind of Greek and Roman mythology. You have these gods who create this city where they invite a lot of like people who are very educated from like different times in human history. And I'm very intrigued to read this. I actually don't really want to know more about what this is. This is also the start to a trilogy. So yeah, I am intrigued to dive into this one. And last but not least, for demonology, we need a book with a house on the cover. And I had 2 options for this. One option was Thistlefoot. However, this option seemed to fit the demonology thing a little bit better, maybe. Maybe just a little bit better, but it is The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. Now, I already had this on my February TBR, but then didn't get around to it. Again, it's a chunky one. It's a chunky one, but I am so excited to read this book. I loved The Good House by Tananarive Due, and I think I will love this one as well. And I definitely need some more horror in my reading. I have not been good with like reading horror so far this year. So in this book, we are looking at one of those reform schools where kids were sent if they misbehaved, and this is a segregated reformatory, and yeah, it's about the ghost that still might haunt it. So this is my magical readathon TBR. Very excited about all of these books. I think this might be my best TBR yet. I could not be more excited. However, it's probably also the biggest TBR I ever had, and I might need to get some scrolls to actually be able to finish these books, which is not a problem because I have accumulated quite a few of the guild points I need for those scrolls. We'll see about that. But yeah, those are the books I hope to read in the month of April. What actually happens, if you want to find that out, subscribe to my channel and you will see I will vlog the whole experience. But then one of my friends, Clio from the channel Bemused Bookworm, is also hosting a little readathon during April, and this one is called Read It Short. It happens during one weekend in April. I'm pretty sure that Clio will do a little announcement for it very soon. I will link her channel down below so you can go and subscribe so you won't miss it. Basically, this is a little readathon that happens every 3 months, and then we read short books. Now I have 2 options for that readathon, and both of those are not on the TBR, which yeah, it's not smart. I'm not smart about this, but whatever. I wanted to let you know those options. Now, I think the theme for the readathon will be learning. So I have a nonfiction book that I got as a gift, and this one is a German one called Nicht falsch, nur neurodivergent. So this is about a woman who found out that she was neurodivergent when she was already in her late 20s, and it's kind of her reflecting on that experience and also her childhood. And yeah, I'm very intrigued to read this one, and it is quite short, so it would fit perfectly. Now, the other one, I don't know how I would fit that in with the learning, but I got this book from Clio, and I would really read it. If I don't read it for this Read It Short, I will keep it for the next round, but I have been staring at this book and I want to read it so bad. And that is The Salt Grows Heavy by Cassandra Caw. This one, yeah, we follow a mermaid and a plague doctor as they do something. I don't know. I don't want to know more than that, but I want to read this book. So we'll see whether it actually fits into the readathon somehow. And that would conclude my very ambitious, a little bit very unrealistic TBR for April. I hope you had fun watching this. Definitely let me know down below if you will participate in Magical Readathon. I always love it, and I know you would love it too. So yeah, let me know if you have Any plans to participate? What is your calling? Will you do one of the new postgrad callings? I would love to hear about that, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye!